Hi, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and I'm talking today about new teachers and how to choose a subject area and grade level as you enter the field of teaching. Let's get started. All right, so you are looking through, the different job descriptions and some of the opportunities in your district, and you're wondering which grade level to choose, which subject area to choose, and how you get certified for all of that. So here's the thing. If you are trying to become a teacher, you can become a teacher at any grade level and any subject area. You just have to get certified in that area. Now, some of you go to the College of Education and you study elementary education because you want to be a third grade teacher or a fourth grade teacher. And then you may interview, and the principal might put you in fifth grade or second grade because the principal is going to put you where she needs you. So it's important to be flexible. Now, some of you are career changers where you got a degree in something else. Maybe you were an accountant for a long time, or maybe you were in corporate America and you've decided you want to become a teacher. Well, the sky's really the limit there. You could do elementary education, you could do middle and high school at a specific grade level. We see a lot more career changers go towards middle and high school because those are subject specific, meaning social studies, science, math, language arts, things like that. Whereas our elementary ed teachers typically are from the College of Education. But here's the thing. Sometimes elementary ed teachers get in there and they say, you know what? I want to try middle school. I want to try high school. It's totally fine. You can do all of that. And remember, you're not stuck in one area. You can teach at all different levels, which makes you super marketable later on if you want to work in curriculum downtown, you want to work in an administrative role. So you can try out all different types of things. That's really the awesome part of being an educator. You just have to make sure you're getting certified in those areas. Let me give you my example. I was a career changer. I've told the story before. I was a bartender, aimlessly going through life, getting my graduate degree, and my mother told me to try substitute teaching. Got a permanent substitute teaching job and started working on my certification. Now, I was hired as a permanent sub in biology. Okay. Biology was my worst subject in high school. I hated it. The teacher I had was really boring. He was a nice man, but he was so boring. And it was like a foreign language. I did not get it. And so I was really nervous. But then I started staying ahead of the students, kind of reading the chapter in front. And at this time, again, I'm only a substitute. I'm not certified yet or anything like that. I'm just sort of filling in. And I really started to love the subject and the conversations we were having. And one of the things was I didn't know a lot about the subject area. So I was teaching them how I was memorizing the stuff, and they were getting it because I was learning alongside them. I did not tell them that. As far as they were concerned, I knew everything about biology, or many things about biology. But late at night, I would go home and study the book and kind of put together my lessons. And it really made me love and understand biology. So sometimes substituting in areas that you may or may not like is a great way to figure out what subject areas you like. Now, later on, my principal was like, hey, you're good at biology. I want to put you in biology and English for next year. So I was like, okay. So I had to take the biology certification exam and I had to take the English sixth through 12 exam, or 7 through 12. Anyway, middle and high exams for both the biology and the English. And so I was certified in two different places. So I was teaching English and biology, which are two completely different things. But it made me very marketable for my principal because he could put me in a lot of different areas. And again, I thought English was going to be my jam. That's what I got my degree in college. And I loved it. I loved that too. But I also really liked biology. So taking certification exams in different areas and getting certified in those areas really helps the principal hire you because the principal's like, wow, you can teach this, you can teach that. And then also it helps to diversify you and you can decide what you like to teach. Now, I will caution you on a couple of things when it comes to that method. I see a lot of people who want to become math teachers who are not that good at math. And a lot of people who want to become reading teachers who aren't that strong at reading. Here's the thing. Students have to take a state standardized assessment at the end of the year in reading and math. And if you come into reading and math as not that strong of an instructor, and you don't have the skills down yourself in a really concrete way, you are doing your students a disservice because you may not have the ability to push them over that threshold they need to be successful on those exams. For example, I teach a lot of math online, and I teach a lot of math for SAT, specific for tests that students have to take. But I would not try to become a math teacher, even though I really like it and I enjoy teaching it in high school, ninth grade, 10th grade, because I am not experienced enough to make sure I'm preparing them for that end of the year exam. And here's one of the main reasons. I'm really good at dissecting exams and teaching students to the test. But when you're in middle and high school math teacher, there's a progression of skills that students need that really good math teachers understand. They know that this skill builds on this skill, builds on this skill. Like when I teach math, and then I watch my husband, who's an actual math teacher, teach math, he kind of knows what skills progress to the next skill, where I'm just focusing on what the test is going to require of you. Both are great ways to teach. They both serve a purpose. But in a classroom setting where math is done every day and the progression of skills is the focus, I would not be the best teacher for that. And that is why I would not put myself or my students in that position. So if you want to become a math teacher, either you need to have a very strong background in math, or you need to work very hard on getting that. Just because there's a math position open doesn't mean that you should be going for that. That is number one. And the same thing goes with reading and language arts. If you are not someone who understands the reading process, you have students who really struggle in this area, and they take a very high stakes assessment at the end of the year that could hinder them from going on from third grade in some states, and also hinder them from graduating. You could have straight A's, and if you don't meet the expectation on the state standardized assessment, you will not graduate in many states, my state in particular. So if you do not have a strong background in reading, and you do not know how to really differentiate instruction and work with students in reading, I would go with social studies. I would go with another subject area, because the stakes are too high in these two areas, reading and math. Now, I was not an actual reading teacher. When I started, I was a language arts teacher, but I got certified. I got my reading endorsement and learned so much about teaching reading that now I'm a reading expert. So you can get there, you can develop those skills, but right out the gate, I would not be putting myself or my students in that position until I got the training. Now, a lot of principals will put you in reading because they need reading teachers. Then if they do that, I would recommend you quickly get into a reading endorsement or some sort of intensive teaching reading program that will help you. And of course, I have lots of videos on this, and I have lots of ways to help you with that professional development, but you need to seek that out so you are a really good teacher in that area. And finally, what content area you end up teaching is going to largely depend on what you got your degree in college, and sort of where you've been working. A lot of times the district or the state will suggest an area that you should go into. So for example, I had an English degree. I got my English degree from Florida State University. So naturally the district said, okay, you're going to be pushed towards English. But my principal was like, no, I need reading and biology and English. So he asked me to get certified in those areas. That won't always happen. You may just be someone who has, maybe you got your degree in psychology. That's a social studies subject. So they'll push you into social studies, even though you'll be teaching like US history. You won't be teaching psychology. You'll be teaching US history, or world history, but it kind of goes along in that vein, right? So you're going to teach or be prompted to teach things that kind of go along with your degree and your certifications. And again, your certifications are going to guide the principal and where to put you. So you can get certified in any area you want. You can try out any area you want. But just remember what I said about that reading and math. We need to make sure we're setting students up for those high stakes standardized assessments at the end of the year. And one last thing I'll say about those of you who went to the College of Education for a certain thing, right? Maybe you get into the classroom and you don't like it and you want to try something else. It's totally fine. Try something else. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into an area just because you went to college for high school social studies. You might really like science, or you might really like reading. Maybe you get into social studies and you've been doing some reading. strategies with your kids and you're like, you know what, I really want to be a reading teacher. Totally fine. You can try different things in schools. You can work in curriculum. You can stay in the classroom. You can become a reading coach. You can become a testing coordinator. You can become an assistant principal. The sky's the limit when it comes to teaching. You do not have to stay in one place at one school doing one thing. So try out new things. See where this career takes you. And I'm telling you, the sky's the limit. I'm talking to you right now on my YouTube channel from my company that I created after I started off as a substitute, then became a teacher, then became a curriculum person in science, which is not my degree. Got my specialist degree in administration, then got my doctorate in educational leadership, wrote a dissertation. Now I have a company. I mean, I'm telling you, so many things you can do if you just keep your mind open and be willing to learn new things. That is the biggest thing. That will help you the most as you become a teacher. All right, I hope that helps today. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments below. You can always email us at info@kathleenjasper.com, and I hope you have a great day.